Hi, everybody, and welcome again to our Meet the Commissioners series live here on ACHAHockey.org. My name is Lou Gamelin, and today we're pleased to be joined by the Division II Commissioner of the ACHA on the men's side, Jon Eccles. Jon, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm doing good.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out tonight or today to be on the show. And first of all, what we'd like to do, Jon, if you would, is give us a little background of yourself, playing history, coaching history. What led you up to where you're at now as the D2 men's commissioner?
Well, back in 1972, my dad he was in the Coast Guard, got transferred out to Michigan, and my mom signed me up to go play hockey, and I went and played and fell in love with it, and was playing 7 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. So I was 12 at that time. At 14, they gave me a key to the warming hut because they always knew I'd be the last one to leave to make sure everything was locked up. And then unfortunately, he moved the family out to Utah, which had very little ice. So I went from playing, 7 days a week in 3 or 4 different leagues, if you would, to playing high school hockey and practicing once a week and having 1 game a week.
Oh, wow.
And it was just like someone shut the water off. And, then at that point, didn't play for about 20 years because they didn't really have a lot here to do. At the time I moved out to Utah, there was only 3 rinks. There was the old Salt Palace, there was a Hygeia, which was a converted bowling alley, and a rink in Bountiful. And then they had some outdoor rinks. But so then I just got back into it. Utah State, they built a rink up here in Cache Valley during the Olympics, and I started helping the head coach a little bit, and eventually was head coach for 9 years. I resigned 2 years ago, and had a great group of boys, had a great support from the university and assistant coaches, and we did quite well. In those 9 years, we made it to nationals, I believe 7 or 8 times, and had a lot of fun. During that time, I was also the West coordinator, helping out Mike Radakovich, the late Mike Radakovich, and then Jay Peacock there for a little bit. And when the opening came up, I talked to the guys, and they said for me to put in for it, and it was a good, strong field, and I was lucky. They liked me. So starting my 2nd year as commissioner, and still trying to learn as much as I can, because it was kind of like cold turkey coming in. There wasn't really anything to follow, no guidelines or anything like that. But I love it. I love the sport. I mean, it's the greatest sport on the planet. I'll just tell you, I love hockey. So.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Not only do we get spoiled by getting summer hockey with the NHL, but the ACHA starting back up in about a month. You had a great first year. Talk a little bit about that, Jon, going down to Dallas for the Nationals the first year, and what a lot of fun it was. And then, of course, this year the pandemic kind of put a halt to everything. Talk about night and day, with both happening. And I know it was kind of a difficult time, but it's an encouraging time coming up with the new year, and it's going to be exciting, I believe.
Oh, I'm excited. So the first time that I went to Dallas, I was just a West coordinator, helping Jay, and had a lot of fun. I mean, I've done it for years, going to nationals, bringing a team there, and I'm also helping. But that first year in Dallas, I didn't have to worry about a team, and it was just 100% focused on the ACHA and making sure it ran smooth. And it was phenomenal. It was great. Each year that we've kind of done the combined, where we bring everybody, it's just gotten better. So I was really looking forward to this year, my first year, to go to Dallas, the 2nd year, and make things, try and make things even better. Unfortunately, like you said, the pandemic. But I really think the way things are going, teams are adjusting, showing the flexibility I think, you know, once we get past this, we're going to have a phenomenal year. We're going to have a phenomenal year.
Oh, it's going to be exciting. I agree with you 100%. You know, that's flexibility is the key. I totally agree with that. Now, a lot of people think, John, that with summertime and there's no hockey on the ice, you get a break. Well, we know that's not true. Tell us a little bit about what you do in the summertime as a D2 commissioner.
Well, working closely with Craig Barnett, the executive chair, and Dave Kurtz and Mo Schemmel there, we're going through the manual, trying to clean up areas that are the gray areas where one team looks at it this way, another team sees it this way. So we tried to really go in and clean that and try and take out anything that would lead a team to think, oh, this is okay, when it actually isn't okay. And that was quite a process. Prior to everything kind of being, you know, pigeonholed, shut down, if you would, we had a lot of Zoom meetings. We had a couple with the whole men's Division II. That was a lot of fun, and getting to talk to everyone. This last year, I went out for regionals. I went out to the Northeast up there in Keene with Bobby Rodriguez and had a great time. And you know, this next year, I'm planning to go either to the Southeast or the Central, just to get out there so they can meet me, get my face, because predominantly it's always been an East commissioner, so they always know the East, and the West has just been kind of stuck out on the side. And yet we're the biggest out here in the West. It's the biggest region, you know, taking up half the United States. There's that, preparing. I know we're getting ready with the new launch of a registration. We're trying to make sure that that goes out good to our membership. But the biggest thing is I get called on, you know, hey, eligibility issues, or a player saying, hey, I didn't play this time, am I still eligible? So there's a lot of things that you're still taking care of, working through, helping teams, new teams. We've had several new teams this year coming on. Minnesota Crookston. There's a Sault Ste. Marie. It's Great Lakes. I think it's Great Lakes up there in Sioux on the U.S. side, and helping them kind of navigate, get prepared, get ready, you know, for the upcoming season. So it's it's really not a break. There might be a couple weeks there where no one's calling you, but then they call you and say, hey, are you still alive? But but you're still pretty much engaged.
So speaking on that, for the coming year, 2020, 2021, give us a couple of your goals that you want to get accomplished. Obviously, we want to see everybody in Boston in March of 2021, but if you would give us a couple of your goals that you have in mind that you would really like to accomplish this year.
I think one of the biggest ones, and it's also kind of coming from, you know, Craig and the membership, improving that communication. You know, some teams in the past have kind of felt that the communication with everybody wasn't where it needed to be. And that's one big thing I think as a membership, as far as the ACHA leadership is trying to do, is have better communication, quicker response, getting the information out that's needed. So I'm trying to, for men's Division II is the biggest division. There's close to 200 teams in men's Division II spread across the United States. And it's big. There's a lot of people out there, and sometimes some people get missed, and we're trying to get a better database so we are getting to everybody. Because as you know, I mean, club sports, you may have a club president who's running everything, and he's gone the following year. Now someone new is coming on, and it's like they're trying to reinvent the wheel, and we don't know who's in charge of a said school. So we're sending it to the old person. And so we're really working hard to try and have as many contacts per team so that we're getting the information disseminated out to all of them. That's a huge one. The second one is making everyone feel like they're a part of it. Like I said, the West, years and years ago, were kind of just out there. There wasn't much representation, if you would, at the ACHA level. And one of my biggest goals was to try, as a regional coordinator, to try and bring us up to the same level out in the East, so that, we're on the same playing field. We're respected as the same, and we got good teams out in the West. And the West has really grown over the last couple of years. And so my biggest thing is to try and see what's being done in the East, the Central, the Southeast, to help the West, be at that same level. And I just think that growing hockey is like probably my third one. Getting as many teams as we can, trying to get teams in the right league that they might be. We have some teams that might be better suited for Division III just because of their location, instead of having to travel so much, because a lot of places, the travel cost is huge, and sometimes some teams just can't handle it. So, there's a lot of things I would like to try and see. I know I can only take baby steps, and trying to improve, different areas. But I think the way the ACHA is going, those are a lot of great avenues that we're all looking into to just strengthen the membership.
Well, I got to tell you, John, on your point about the West Coast teams, I gotta expound on that for a minute. I've done some interviews over the years on my podcast with some of these coaches out there, and the stories they tell about driving 16 hours in a bus or 14 hours in a bus they get off and about 90 minutes later they're playing. And I am just amazed by that. And some of the teams that went to Columbus for the Nationals a few years ago, Air Force, for example, they took the bus and they drove, I don't know, or New Mexico or whatever, and they played and they were very well represented. And I got to concur with you. Some of those stories I hear about these West Coast teams, the amount of travel, where me being in Michigan, covering Aquinas and going to a couple of games where you have to drive 45 minutes or 10 minutes,
Yeah. Well, it's the West, you got the Canadian border where you got the North Dakota teams and the Montana teams, clear down to Texas on the Mexican border. And then you're going from the Pacific Ocean clear to North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin border. And you're right, for a team in Utah to drive up to UMary, it's like 14 hours on a bus, and then it's like road conditions, snow, ice. I've been on buses before where we've been stuck in Wyoming on a highway, sitting there for 6 hours because the roads are closed and you're kind of stuck in the middle and you can't pull off and go anywhere. So you're just sitting there on the bus, camped out. So yeah, it's there are some wild stories.
Well, John, lastly, what I'd like to ask you is when you're not in your role as the D2 commissioner and you do have some free time, what is it you like to do in your spare time just to kind of, refresh or recharge yourself?
Well, I'm a real estate agent. That's what helps pay the bills. I love that. I just got my broker's license. I live in Utah, up in Cache Valley. It's about 90 miles north of Salt Lake City, where the airport is, where everyone knows Salt Lake City. And we're in a valley, completely surrounded by mountains. There's about 120,000 people that live in the valley, and there's biking, hiking. I can walk out of my house, walk about 10 minutes, and I'm up in the canyons with my dog. And so the real estate, I love it. I just love working with people. That's why I love, being in the ACHA, working with new people and getting to know them, making those friendships. The same with real estate, new clients all the time and building those connections. That's what kind of charges me up. But watching hockey and playing hockey is probably the biggest thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, in 2 weeks, we'll get that, as we were talking before we came on, is that August 1st, we'll get to start watching that. John, thank you so much for taking time out tonight to be with us here on the Meet the Commissioners series. Good luck to you in the coming year. Hope to stay in touch and, keep her going. It's going to be a fun year. I can feel it.
Go Detroit.
You bet. Go Red Wings. We'll get there. Keep the faith. Thanks, Jon.
Thanks. Have a great evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.